Roof Fans Podcast. What's good, y'all? What's good? What's good? Biggest news of the sports world right now. Bad Bunny, bear. Your boy was in the WWE.
Yeah.
Getting it down, putting it on, putting PR on the map out here in the ring.
I didn't see it. I missed it. I didn't see the clip.
Apparently, Bad Bunny is like a fucking wrestling nerd, and he always wanted to do. I think there was a video of him at the Heat game where he like put the water in his mouth and like spit it in the air like Triple H or some shit. So he's like a wrestling nerd, and he got the jump. He got to go into the Royal Rumble and go off the ring and jump into two guys, like fucking frog splash them. But off onto the floor, not even in the ring, like to the floor where these guys were standing. So
when we got in the ring, he looked around.
This was Royal Rumble.
Yeah, Royal Rumble. Yeah.
Yo,
dude, I used to be so into WWE when I was like a kid. I was like die hard. I went to the thing. I went to one of the events. I think it was just Monday Night Raw.
Nice, I've never been.
I haven't seen it in fucking ages now. I have no idea what anything's going on. I don't know who's in it.
Triple H won. I didn't even know this man was still wrestling.
Would he come out of retirement? Like,
I don't know. He looks old, bro. This man looks like he's like 55.
I think I saw an interview of him recently.
He's still yoked up though. He's bigger than all of us. This man, it's crazy.
I've been seeing the Undertaker doing a shit ton of interviews all over the place. Like, I don't know for what, but
he retired. He's retired, so like he's doing his little tour. Like, I don't know, out the business. So like now he doesn't have to be the fucking Undertaker. He can just be, I forgot his first name, but
nah, bro.
I don't know. Dude's got to be like 50 something, right? I mean,
name Undertaker. Bro, your boy Booker T came back too. I don't know if you guys remember him. He was out there.
Yeah.
Well, that's because doesn't Bad Bunny have a song named after him?
I think so. Yeah. He was in that too.
Album.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Bad Bunny had a bunch of spots. Like he was.
Booker T's got to be old as shit because he was old when I was watching it.
Yeah, all these guys are in their late 50s. They're in their late 50s, all of them.
Let's John Cena push. John Cena's got to be in his 40s, right?
Yeah, he's probably pushing 52. He's probably pushing 52.
Let me see this.
That's our childhood right there.
Maybe for you.
That's like teenage years.
John Cena's 43.
Bro, John Cena is fucking Tom Brady.
He's 43, yeah.
That's wild.
Dude, 6'1", 250, solid. Dude's fucking yoked.
You think he's pushing that juice?
Oh, 100%.
They all are.
100%. Yeah, I'm sure like 80% of them are. I'm sure even the women are. Like, there's no way John Cena's not like fucking shooting his ass up.
Yeah, but, I thought it was dope, man, for Bad Bunny to be out there representing.
Yeah.
I liked him better in the Super Bowl.
For like
I thought it was
20 seconds he was on there.
For like 10 seconds with J-Lo and Shakira. Overall good performance on that.
Well, anyways, talking about news going on in sports. You know what I mean? Biggest thing over the weekend. Matt Stafford getting traded.
Hold on, real quick. Let's just acknowledge, JoJo, do you feel better now coming back? Because I know you had to go back home to Buffalo.
This guy.
Console your family.
This guy.
What happened?
Bro, not a Buffalo fan. Never been.
Then where were you then? Where were you?
How was that flight, man? I heard it's a whole blizzard up in Buffalo.
Yeah, it's cold, man. Like 18 inches. Like,
I wouldn't know. I wasn't there.
Oh, that's why I thought you were. That's why I thought you were gone.
Bills Mafia was just destroyed, man.
Yeah, I had to make sure my family was good.
Anyway,
right,
Matt Stafford
game.
on the Lions. Matt Stafford, Lions traded for 3 picks. I think it was 2 first-rounders and 1 third-rounder this year, and Jared Goff.
Is it third-rounder this year or is it next year?
Yeah, third-rounder this year, and then 2022 and 23 first round.
Yep.
And then a 21 third round, and then Jared Goff got traded.
The Jags has the Rams pick this year, and then I guess they gave it up. Yeah.
I mean, aside from the picks, quarterback standpoint on that trade, you guys think about that? Even trade?
That is a lot. That is a lot. I understand Jared Goff, went to the Super Bowl, whatever. But he did not have a very good year this year, and that is a lot. 2 first round picks. I can say, okay, maybe you send one first rounder, a third rounder, whatever. But he sent 2 of them for the next 2 years. That is a lot. That's kind of hefty, very hefty. So, but I think it was kind of everybody saw the writing on the wall, right? Because I think everybody the Lions fans expected for him to get traded, for Matt Stafford to get traded. And we were talking about these quarterbacks that are up in the air. Matt Stafford was definitely one of them. It was like he might get released. It's a little bit of a hefty price, maybe too much that I would pay. Yeah. But I mean, the deal is done, and he's going to be in LA now, and hopefully that'll help. LA needed that push because Jared Goff really didn't play up to expectations that he did the year before. Especially I think one of the big things was what running back did
Gurley.
Todd Gurley.
Okay, I'm thinking of the wide receiver they also lost. Because they just had Cup. They had Cup and Woods. Those were their best two receivers.
I don't know who else they lost. I can't.
There was a third receiver. I think they lost. I forget. I'll say. All right, whatever. But yeah, I think it's good for Matt Stafford. I think you got to change the scenery. You've been your whole career with Detroit, and I don't think what is it? He didn't even get to a playoff win or anything. They didn't even get.
He's been to the playoffs. His best season was 11-5, but they lost. He's yet to win a playoff game, which is probably going to change this year.
So like, if I'm him, I'm fucking relieved. I'm just relieved to get out of it and be in a new situation. You move to LA, you see what can happen. You know what I mean? Jared Goff, we'll see. I don't know what kind of other moves that they're going to try to make around Jared Goff and the Lions, but I mean. If I'm Matt Stafford, I'm feeling pretty good this week.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm glad he's out of that shit situation that is Detroit. And dude, he's been there for 12 years. He's with a horrible team. I mean, his best team was 11-5, and they got blown out. I don't forget what the score of that game was actually. I just remember it not being close, but. He already talked about, everybody already knew at the end of the season this was it. He still had years left on his contract, but he was definitely going to get traded. I didn't honestly, the Rams threw me completely off guard. I had no idea they were even in the ballpark. I was thinking, I mean, everybody thought it's going to be either between the Colts and the Niners.
Yeah.
And I saw the Niners were offering they were speculated to offer a first-round pick and a second-round pick for Stafford, and then the Colts were putting together a package where the Colts kept their first-round, their 21st pick, but putting together their package of I guess later-round picks to then grab him. But then you can't blame Detroit. I mean, the Rams literally gave him 2 first-rounders.
2 first-rounders. I mean, that's a lot.
And I think this is huge. I mean, you're talking about I think he said he's only had one top 10 defense in his entire career, and that was the year they went 11-5 and went to the playoffs.
Wow.
That was his only year he's had a top 10 defense. So he's going into the number 1 defense in the league. He is he's going to have some weapons. We got Sean McVay with his. I'm curious to see how that's going to work out because Sean McVay likes to run a lot of bootlegs. And Matt Stafford's not really that type of guy to do that. So we'll see how he tailors that for his skill set. But, I mean, they got some offensive weapons with Akers. Like you said, Woods. Kupp has really came into his own. The offensive line's not bad. And, obviously, your defense is stacked with talent. So I think they're immediate title contender, 100%. And I think that's where he wanted to go. He was going to go either those 3 teams. The Rams threw me for a loop. I knew they weren't going to keep Goff. I knew they were going to figure out a way to get rid of him, but I wasn't sure what they were going to do exactly. The only reason, I mean, it makes sense, but I just didn't think that they're going to go for him because we didn't hear any speculation of them being involved in this whatsoever. But they're going to be a number 1 contender immediately. I think they're at least going to make it to the NFC Championship game.
Wow.
So
high expectations there.
I mean, they made it to the divisional round with the shitty quarterback with a broken hand. So, I mean, the dude Goff got benched. And then as for Detroit goes, I mean, Detroit, you're going to get a pretty package. I'm not sure it's going to help, obviously, but the Rams these next 2 years are probably going to be title contenders. So they're going to be pretty high picks. So I can see why the Rams are okay with giving away with it because, these are going to be high picks. They're not true first. When you go from 20th overall to like the end of the third, all those players are about the same. It's really the top 20 or where these are like the big time guys. So I can see why they did it. I think it was a heavy price to pay. They're going to go on 7 years, I think, since 2015 all the way up to this is going to be 2024 without a first round pick.
Yeah.
So I think 8 years actually. So that's wild. Like that's wild. But I'm sure Matt Stafford, he is glad to get out of that situation and actually have a good team surrounding him because he deserves to get a good team. Like he really does. I mean, he's had shit.
Yeah, and looking at the Lions offense, I mean they got a couple talent players. I don't know if these are enough to like make you an amazing team, but you got Galladay, Marvin Jones Jr., Sanu, Danny Amendola. So I mean they got guys that have played in the league and have
DeAndre Swift, who actually kind of came into his own this past year.
Yeah, I remember that drop ball that he had, that touchdown. It was like,
the first game of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was ass, but then he really came into his own at the end. He kind of did some work. I mean, his offense is about the same. In all honesty, probably a little bit better. I think I think Akers is probably a better running back unless DeAndre Swift like becomes better. But I think the offense is relatively the same. He's going to have a better O-line, but the defense is what's really going to help him. I think that's huge because especially in a league where people are putting up 30 every week, it's nice. So, but I think he's gonna like it there, man. He's gonna like it. Yeah. I think he's gonna receive well. People are gonna receive him well. So yeah. And as for the Goff situation, I think Goff's gonna be like a bridge guy. I can see him. I see him starting this year. I see him starting, probably getting like a fresh start, setting up a new offense around him. Like you said, you mentioned all the Detroit weapons, so he's probably still gonna he's gonna do some work. He's gonna be probably a good bridge guy. I see them maybe going after somebody as a rookie. I mean, we'll see when the draft comes, but I could see them possibly picking somebody up, if not next year, for sure.
Well, I mean, I think he's gonna have to play, right? Because you just traded away your future. You just gonna wait first round picks. Like you just picked your guy. Like if you don't play him, if you sit him, if you trade him, you trade 2 first round picks and then you sit him. Like
no, I'm talking about Detroit.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. As a Lions fans, because if you traded if you gave away so much for him, like you better start him. You better play him. If I'm a Lions fan, I want to see Jared Goff play, and he better be fucking.
No, they received 2 first round picks. They didn't get the only thing they lost was Stafford.
No, they lost Stafford to get picks.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
Because you're saying that they gave away all their picks, so they have to start Goff. No, they still have their picks. They gained picks. Their draft position does not change this year. Like, except you said they get a third round.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I just switched the Rams position with
Yeah, you got the overworth right here.
I was getting heated because you're like, oh, you're gonna trade in a quarterback. I'm like, trading a quarterback? You just traded for one. All right.
No, I'm saying like they might. I think it's still not out of the possibility that they draft somebody and Goff's just your bridge guy. Like if somehow Fields falls to you, or you like Trey Lance out of North Dakota State, or if Zach Wilson falls to you. I don't know if anybody's going to really fall to them because I think they're drafting like 8. So unless they move up, but obviously Goff's not the future. I never thought Goff was that good. I thought he was heavily overrated the minute he stepped into the league. He never showed. He just looked average at best.
I mean, we shall see in the future. I mean, I think all the conversations around quarterbacks is going on. Obviously, Deshaun Watson's still out there.
Your boy Tua.
I don't know if you had your updates for that. Aaron Rodgers and Tua. I don't think he's going to happen.
The coach came out from Houston saying that they're not trading Watson. So we'll see.
Well,
I don't buy it. It's dude, that Watson situation is just.
Well, it's messy because
he already involved in that.
He signed his contract already, so he's stuck in his contract. So anybody, you know what I mean, and he has that no trade clause. So if you didn't like the deal, don't sign it. If you didn't like the team, don't sign with them.
They're not getting rid of him. They've already came out multiple times saying they're not getting rid of him.
They all want the money in the beginning. They'll sign that contract, then they're not happy, and then guess what? They try to find ways out.
So I mean,
that's what blows my mind. Yeah, about that. Like you signed this second largest contract in like NFL history, if not sports history. I'm not sure. I think it's just NFL though, and then want to be out the next year. Like, did you not consider this when you were? I don't know. Unless he was pushing. I don't know. Unless he wanted to get traded at first, but.
I mean, like,
I don't think he's going anywhere, but it's going to be. It's such a tough situation.
I don't like the narrative on that. They're like, oh, they're wasting his years. They're wasting his prime years. Listen, that, and not everyone wins young. You know what I mean? Like, there's one Super Bowl winner every single year, right? And it's not going to guarantee that a young quarterback in the league, no matter if you're in your prime or not, you're going to be winning. You still got guys like Tom Brady who are still finding ways to make it there. His 10th appearance. Then you got a young, phenom, Mahomes going back to back. Like, yo, there's competition, bro. Like,
well, and then look at the guy we were just talking about, Stafford.
Huh?
I said, look at the guy we are just talking about, Stafford.
Yeah.
Stafford played
no playoffs wins,
10 years, and nobody's ever blamed him for it because he's always put up the numbers and everything. He just had a horrible team around him. Look at Phillip Rivers, who just retired.
Yeah,
Phillip Rivers never had a great team.
But these guys, they sign these big ass contracts and they sign them early for whatever extensions because they're trying to lock up the money, right? Regardless of how many years, they're trying to lock up guaranteed money because NFL is a little bit different, right? Because if you don't play, I don't think it's not really guaranteed. Only the signing is guaranteed. So
it depends on the contract.
Yeah, they try to lock up big money for a long periods of time, so that way they're guaranteed they're going to take care of their family, whatever. But the thing is, like, I can feel for Deshaun Watson. It's like, yo, like, do I have any hope for the future? Like, are we going to be good? Like, I'm just going to be here playing, and then what? So if it seems like that he was, I guess, hoping for the GM and them to be more involved, and like he wanted to get more involved with like personnel and who's going to bring and what kind of whatever.
I think the thing was he gave a recommendation about GM,
for the coach,
or the coach, one of the two, it was either GM or coach, and then they said I guess he feels that they completely ignored him.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So you can understand, like, I can understand, like, feeling hopeless of, like, fuck, man, I signed this big ass contract and like I got no help. Like, we fucking suck. We're terrible. We got rid of DeAndre Hopkins. Who do I have? I have Kenny Stills, who's broken. I got fucking, I don't know, Duke Johnson. Who else is on the team? I guess.
No, you got. I mean, they got some. The real problem is their defense is god awful. I mean, you got Brandon Cooks, you got Randall Cobb. I mean, those two didn't really do much this year. But then you had Will Fuller, who like fucking blew up this year. David Johnson had an all right season. Duke Johnson had an all right season. The real problem is their defense, and I do think maybe they need to. Randall Cobb's just old, man. They need to get rid of him. He's not the same guy that he was back in Green Bay.
No,
but listen, man, I don't want the NFL turning out to be like the NBA. Some of these guys, they feel like they're going to be helpless and not get a ring in whatever team or organization they are. And then they just give up all hope and then go ring chasing somewhere else.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Like, I don't think, like, obviously, I don't want it to become the NBA, but I don't even think it could. It's just not. Yeah. It's just not the NFL. The NFL is just not built that way. Because it takes a team.
I wouldn't want it to get that. You got these guys complaining. You know what I mean? Like, I guess
no competition. Yeah,
it's like
the drama, and then the competition. I mean, think about it. Like, there's only like 5 relevant teams in the NBA every year, and then that's it. The rest are just whatever. But I don't think it's built like that because at the end, football is the biggest team sport out of all of them. I mean, it takes a whole unit.
Yeah.
And at the end, like every game, it doesn't matter what your record is. They are still like, there's a reason why it's called any given Sunday. Like, it doesn't matter who they are on the other side of the field. Like, they can still beat you. These are still professional football players, and it takes a whole team. Yeah. So it's hard to. Because basketball, I mean, it takes 3 players? You need 3 star players, and you're pushing for a title. Like, every football team has 3 good players, and then it's all about the positions that there's just, and that's why I personally love football so much, and why it's my favorite is because of that. It is the ultimate team sport, and any given Sunday,
So going back to Tua, I mean, obviously Tua, we kind of know Tua had kind of just an underwhelming year. Not that it was like super spectacular, not that it was. I could see the good that he had in his season in this year, but I don't see, especially with the move where they hired a new quarterback coach. Like, to me, that signals like, oh, we're gonna invest. Like, we're invested in Tua. Brian Flores already said at the end of the season that he came out off rip without anybody asking him. And he said Tua's our guy. He's our starter next year, regardless. So, and just that move of getting a quarterback coach for the Dolphins tells me they're not trading for a quarter. Like, they're not trading. They're sticking with Tua for right now. So maybe they
hired an OC.
No, they didn't. They're keeping him as well, which I'm pissed off about.
I thought he retired. I thought Chan Gailey retired.
Did he? I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he retired. Chan Gailey. He's the OC, right?
Well, you're telling me news that I didn't know.
We talked about this.
Because he resigned.
He resigned. Yeah, he
January 6th. So that was just came out. Oh shit, you're breaking news to me, my friend.
Let me see if they got an OC. For all we know, they got a fucking OC.
I did not hear that because I heard they put out a press thing where I thought it was an accident of like, oh, Chan Gailey, whatever. But I guess I got rid of him. Maybe Eric Bieniemy.
One day ago, George Godsey is co-offensive coordinator.
Oh shit!
So Studsville, Godsey, co-offensive coordinators. Let me see where they came from. Yeah, so you guys are gonna have two offensive coordinators? I've never heard of that before. Eric Studsville and George Godsey. QB coach Charlie Fry will run that room, help develop Tua. Dolphins felt the combo of Eric Studsville and George Godsey was better to run defense than external options they interviewed. So these are internal guys.
So we'll see. I mean, Eric Bieniemy, he's one of the coach, right? He's going to be in the Super Bowl again. He's a good guy.
He ain't leaving unless he becomes
a head coach. Yeah, he's not going to be a head coach. He's not going to be an offensive coordinator for the Dolphins. I'd rather stay with fucking Kansas City than be a offensive coordinator for the Dolphins.
Oh, he's going to be a coach.
Who would you rather have, Tua or fucking Patrick Mahomes? Who would you rather be on your team?
Is that a question?
So, I would love to have Eric Bieniemy, but that guy ain't gonna leave for fucking Tua.
Well, if he's leaving, he's leaving for a head coaching position.
Yeah, and I don't think
which is this year's gonna be next year.
Yeah,
at this point.
And they already hired. I mean, most of the Jets hired.
They're all gone. There's no more spots.
Yeah, so
I think that's part of the reason is because he's in the Super Bowl. It's hard, A lot of these guys that got hired were like week one playoffs or. It's hard to become a coach unless the team holds out. But I mean, as a team that's not in the playoffs, like you don't really want to wait that long. Like, you need to start building a staff because then all those other positional staffs are going to get filled up. Because I think almost every team, like I know the Jags, I think I've pretty much filled up our whole staff. Urban Meyer's filled up the whole staff. I know a lot of other teams have. So if you wait till the end of the Super Bowl and then you're able to hire him, and then he's got to put together a staff, and then you're just so behind the eight ball. And more than likely, if you're picking up a coach, you're not a good team, so you need to it's hard.
All the firing and the hiring always happen before the season, before the Super Bowl happens. So it's like if they didn't announce it by now, if they didn't announce it by now, it's probably not going to happen. It's probably not going to get picked up by another team.
Oh, nobody. I mean, there's no positions open now. The Houston was the last one, and they picked up the assistant head coach of the Baltimore Ravens and apparently he's been assistant for like 17 years. What?
Jojo fell asleep. Jojo fell asleep while Julian, you were talking. I was like, what the fuck?
Wow.
You all right there, buddy?
I took a notification.
Oh.
I looked down on my phone.
Anyways, is that it for that? We got more NFL talk that we want to get into, or are we going to talk about review the Super Bowl real quick?
Bro, about Tua.
Nah, forget Tua. I got next year. I'll talk about next year.
All right, so let's bring this up. So after seeing what the Rams gave up, and the Rams not having a first-round pick for fucking years to come, and they haven't had any for years. What do you feel about this method of saying fuck your draft picks? We're just going to trade them all off and get free agents. I mean, we even see it in the NBA. Like, I mean, look at the Harden trade. Or do you like the idea of building through the draft and having long-term success? And you might not do a quick flip immediately, but you're building through the draft, long-term success. You get to homegrown players, develop them, everything.
I feel like it depends on what your goals are for the team. If you want to win immediately, you're going to go through free agency. If you're looking at your 5-year plan, you're going to trust the draft, right? And I feel like that's for any sport, right? You're going to get big name free agents, and you're going to put, yourselves in that position to where, we need to win now, but obviously it depends on the history of the team and what teams we're talking about and see what they want. Now, those sleeper teams that go through the draft who have zero expectations and they're losing every year and you kind of don't pay attention, but then out of nowhere, they have the little 3-5-year plan and they all come together and then they have a playoff run and then everybody's like all surprised because they don't have any all-star players on their team. No, I really feel like it just depends on what you're looking for that year, in my opinion.
So how do you feel about the Rams getting rid of all their stuff and just going all in?
If you're getting rid of draft picks, that means you believe in the guy you got and you're gonna have immediate success. You're risking it. You're getting rid of your draft picks. You feel like you're gonna have immediate success.
Yeah, this whole trust the process. Sell it. Sell your futures for right now. And I think for Rams, I think it's worth it because they got to the playoffs. It seems that their biggest probably hurdle was Jared Goff. Otherwise, they had a pretty staunch defense. They had a weapons. Woods and Cup are one of the best. They're the best blocking receivers, the best tag team as far as blocking receivers. So it seems like they were a quarterback away. I think that they'll still be posed to be playoff, a championship worthy, championship ready. Yeah, as long as everybody stays healthy, whatever. I'm against the idea of trust the process of we're just gonna lose and tank. I just hate that mentality. I know sometimes you have to do it. So if you're in that position of might as well get a draft pick. I don't like that mentality from the jump. You know what I mean? You give teams.
Well, we're not talking about tanking. We're talking about just like Patriots, for example. All their players are homegrown, all developed. They've raised them, all this stuff. We're not talking about deliberately tanking and getting rid of all your players and getting rid of everybody, cleaning up
through the draft.
Yeah. Well, tanking is part of just being instead of thinking of winning or I guess as a whole, you have to have people who are smart enough to manage, manage the budget, manage the role, I just forgot the word for it. Just manage the money well and getting good value for good bang for your buck, good value for your dollar. Because you can get good players, but if you're you're overpaying them, you're giving whatever 300 million to Albert Pujols. It's how long whatever. So you need it's a whole entity thing, right? It's the front office and and the players and the coaches. So it's a whole effort of getting the people in the right position as far as the money, as far as your scouting, as far as your coaches to develop these players. If you have those right pieces in place, then you can do both. You can draft well and you can develop players or get veteran players or whatever. It's a lot more risk with the draft because like you said earlier, usually the best play, not all the time, but usually the best players that come out of the first, second round draft. Rarely do you ever see, guys from the 7th round like Tom Brady or something from the 5th round, 7th round that become amazing players. Because it's just so rare that people would just miss that kind of talent and just not see it. Maybe they needed to get into NFL, to get NFL speed, to get the NFL experience, be on a practice squad for a little bit, and they pick up the skill. You know what I mean? They didn't peak at college; they're peaking, in the NFL. But as far as trusting the process, when I say tanking, it's just tanking for the draft. Looking forward more to the draft than the season of play, where you can actually compete against teams and try to win that. Try to get into the playoffs, whatever. I like that mentality more. I mean, sometimes you have to do it. If you're really a quarterback, you know what I mean? Like, kind of like the Dolphins are in this situation. Like, if you think you're a quarterback away and you need to draft Tua and draft him and stick with him and ride with him because you put everything on the line. I mean, you bet all on him. So stick with it, ride with it, give him some help, give him a quarterback, give him some talent, put everything into this Tua train. So that way you can't say, oh well, it's rare to just find some, I don't know, some Hall of Fame player off the draft. You know what I mean? It takes time to develop. Aaron Rodgers, these kind of, they have there's prospect to do well, but it's rare that you're gonna hit a fucking home run every time you draft. Like, that's just not, it's 1 out of 32, whatever the fucking odds are to draft a Hall of Fame player every time. So,
because like,
well, I would say so. So my thoughts on it is like, I think the preferred method is to build through the draft and build your players but not everybody has that eye. I mean, one of the greatest, scouts and like front offices ever, was the Colts for all those years of Bill Polian and all those Tony Dungy and all those years. I mean, they made studs and out of the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th round. And it's all about just finding those guys, but not even only just finding those guys, but having the right staff to build those guys, which it's rare to see. I mean, we've only seen, I think it's part of the reason why the Patriots have been good for so many years. Part of the reason why the Colts are always relevant, like no matter who's at QB, it's being able to build those. And maybe somebody like the Rams, where maybe they don't trust their draft process as much, or everybody has a different method about going about things. I think obviously the preferred way you want to do this is
trusting the draft or just the organization as a whole. Because if you're in a great organization, everyone's on top of their stuff, good chemistry.
But that's what makes you able to have your draft picks hit. Yeah, you look how many first overall picks that end up being bust.
So shit organizations with no money, they have to only rely on the draft. But since they're a shit organization, they're not going to really develop their players then.
Well, more than likely, if you're a shit organization, you have money. More than likely, because you don't really have any players that you're playing big time. So, I think the way I look at free agency is it's a place to fill pieces, but not to build your whole team. And like what the Rams did, for example, it works and I'm sure the Colts are going to find somebody, and I hope they do, because it's where you have this team and you just need that one piece, and all the other pieces are like Super Bowl ready. You just need that one piece to help complete it. And Stafford is that piece for the Rams, and whoever the Colts end up deciding to get, that is them for the Colts. Because the Colts, have a stacked defense. They have an amazing running game. You have some receivers on the outside, the best O-line in the game. They are literally a quarterback away. So I'm okay with them probably getting rid of some of their picks. But as you can see, they really value their picks. And obviously that organization, it does work because they don't want to give up the first round picks. And they've proven time and time again, they've hit their picks over and over and over again. And I don't think it's so much, there is luck involved into it, but I think the great dynasties have found this rhythm to constantly keep on pushing out good players. And what you can see with the Rams is a weird situation, because you could see like they're giving up 2 first round picks, but you can say that Stafford is your first round pick, and then you're giving up another one so you can keep him. And Stafford's still young. He's only 32 years old. At this rate, he can play for another 10 years. So he is a long-term answer, but it's but the one problem with, you see what a lot of free agency teams, and you see it in basketball now, is when these guys leave, because when they leave, the organization's in disarray. Like it's destroyed because they were never able to build and have people trust into this organization that they have built, because you have no homegrown players that are able to do. And I do kind of like with the Rams, because the Rams actually do hit on some of their later round picks. They do, like Cam Akers was like a 3rd round pick. They've had some good talent that they hit in the later rounds. So if they trust their late round evaluations and they're like, you know what, fuck our first round and pick somebody up if that works for them. And it seems like it has for the most part, then go for it. But teams that are solely built, I can't think of a team at the top of my head right now, but there's been teams that I've seen that just get solely built off free agency, and it doesn't work. It doesn't set you up for long term, because you're just hiding the fact that you probably have a bad coaching staff just from the fact that you spent all your money on these players.
And that's the point I made earlier. Depending on the goals of the team, you're gonna go free agency if you're looking for immediate results. You're not really looking long term. You know, if you're gonna invest in your draft and get these homegrown players and everything like that, yeah, you're trying to think long term success. But if that's been failing for some organizations, they're gonna switch their route.
And you're gone. I mean, that organization has to dip. Yeah. I mean, the GM's got to go, because I mean, like, if football's a team sport, you can't just grab everybody off free agency.
One or two people to hold it down for the whole.
Yeah, you have to draft people. Like, you're not gonna be, and you got to have those people that you developed. Because these free agents, a lot of times, they have no ties to you, really. They're kind of mostly there for the money or trying to get a ring. Like, they have no really ties or maybe even buy into your culture.
Yeah.
So that's why I look at it as like, you get them as pieces. But don't build your whole team around it. Like, if you need to fill in a spot and like you don't like what's coming into the draft and you need like a really good immediate success right there, go get your guy. Fucking overpay him, whatever you can do, go grab him. But like, when you're talking about building an entire team, like, you got to draft, man. You got to draft, because you're just hiding from the fact that you can't draft.
Well said, man. Well said.
Speaking of good organizations, who do you think is responsible for the Patriot way? Bill Belichick or Tom Brady? Who is more integral to that organization and the reason why they became the greatest dynasties American sports has ever seen?
I mean, obviously, I think the easy answer is Bill Belichick, right? Because he's been there the longest.
Really?
I think so. He's the stiff one. He's the no nonsense guy. Come here, do your job. Everybody has a job, and you see all these guys come out. It's so funny. Whenever on ESPN, whenever something's going on with the Patriots, they always go to Teddy Bruschi, and Teddy Bruschi is like, "This was the Patriot way. Bill Belichick never allow such a thing. You cannot come into our locker room and just talk to Antonio Brown. You're gonna have to stick to Bill Belichick's whatever." It's a it's, I guess, as far as building culture, talking about as far as organizations, like, you need that stability of somebody who's gonna set the expectations and the rules, and then you get people to buy into that culture of whatever you're trying to establish, or whatever, discipline or toughness or whatever, and that's how you get sustained, relevancy, I guess, with being able to be in the playoffs or everybody's talking about you, we're running more Patriot highlights, whatever. But it comes from that stability of, like, you need somebody, the top down, right? You need somebody at the top to set the expectations, set the rules, set the whatever.
Exactly what I was thinking now.
The culture of yeah. What else are you going to say, JoJo?
No, I'm agreeing with you. I was going to say, it starts from the top down. Yeah, you could give Tom Brady all his credit, which I'm not against him. Obviously he made it to the Super Bowl without Belichick, but the question was, for the whole Patriots dynasty, like, who was more impactful? I mean, obviously Tom Brady was a quarterback. You know what I mean? He led the team. He was out there on the field playing. But again, that does start with the coach, Bill Belichick, right? Yeah, he had the Patriots at a down season. Everyone can laugh about it. Tom Brady's in the Super Bowl. Well, you got to think, like you said, now long term, right? So they did what they had to do those years with Brady and Belichick. Yeah, they had a bad season. They had Cam Newton, who just got back from injury. They didn't really have any big name players. Terrible defense. They didn't really have any weapons out there. So I'd say give him a chance to see what moves he makes. You know what I mean? As a coach, see what he can do. See if they could bounce back and continue being the Patriots.
The reason why I bring this up is because, I don't know if you guys heard, but Danny Amendola came out speaking about this, and he basically said, when you see the Patriot way in the dictionary, it's got Tom Brady's picture next to it. None of these coaches caught any passes. Tom Brady is the Patriot way. That's why he's in the Super Bowl and the Patriots aren't. That is from a former Patriot, former Super Bowl champion.
But that's kind of dismissive, I guess, of other Patriots, right? There's other people that won. Rodney Harrison, Ty Law. There's other players that played for the Patriots before Danny Amendola. You know, so I mean, I guess whatever. He's a wide receiver, so that's his bias. He's gonna stick up for his guy and be like, "Oh, Tom Brady, he's the greatest," because he is the greatest. He is the greatest football player. He's the greatest football quarterback I've ever seen. Okay,
here's my thought process on it. My thought process is I'm leaning more towards Tom Brady, honestly, because when you look at all these things, Tom Brady, I feel when people want to go to New England, when people wanted to go to New England, they wanted to go to play for who? They wanted to play for Tom Brady. I don't think I mean, obviously Belichick and all this, but they were there. They wanted to play for Tom Brady. Tom Brady has the standard of excellence to be the greatest, work harder than anybody else, like first one in, last one out. And it's part of the reason why he is the GOAT and why he's gone and won 6 Super Bowl rings, been to 10 Super Bowls. And I look at this and Tom Brady, he is constantly always taking pay cuts on his contracts because he is a team first guy. He's only ever had one Pro Bowl receiver, which is Randy Moss. He never had a ton of support, but what always kept the Patriots in was because you knew number 12 was going to get you there because of what he demanded from his teammates and what he demanded from his coaches. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember a few years ago when he was yelling at, I think Josh McDaniels, or was it Bill O'Brien on the sideline?
Yeah, one of the coaches. He got it.
It was one of the. It was either Bill O'Brien or Josh McDaniels. It was one of the OCs, and he was just like yelling. And like you look at him, and he's just like Tom Brady is the ultimate like leader, like. And the reason why I take some of this credit away from Bill Belichick, I think Bill Belichick's a great defensive mind, but he's never been able to build a great team around him except for like the early 2000s era. Like he's never been able to give him like the best offense. And I think what makes Tom Brady so great was the fact that like I think people wanted to go there for him and learn from him and what he has done and how and what he demands.
Yeah.
Because Tom Brady is a coach. I mean, I look at the same way with Peyton Manning. Like outside of those Tony Dungy years, people went to where Peyton Manning went because people trust the process that Peyton Manning did. Peyton Manning is one of the greatest because of his desire to be excellent, and be the greatest.
Everything is a student, students of the game, both these guys. And I agree with you, the whole Tom Brady thing. And again, like, when you really look at it, yeah, I know I said, obviously it starts, from the top down. But it's the little things, especially in those games where, those game-winning drives, those clutch performances, along with the leadership, which causes them to get all those wins.
Let me ask you this. If you had a pick right now in your organization, do you take Tom Brady or do you take Bill Belichick? Oh, Tom Brady in his prime. Tom Brady.
You said Tom Brady now or Bill Belichick now?
You can't go quarterback of all time or a coach. Like, you're going to start with a GOAT quarterback.
Yeah, we know that now because of the results.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, would you take Phil Jackson or Michael Jordan?
Exactly. Who's more important to you, your franchise?
Like you're gonna pick the player because
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like who's more important to your franchise? Like, and I think people go there because of the quarterback that's there, and who he is, and the aura that he has, and like like I heard somebody talking about like how like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, they would talk about like how like they would bring in like other players or draft players and they look at them like they're in awe, like they're like, holy shit, like this is fucking Tom Brady that I'm playing with. But being able to handle that and humble yourself down to like be a good teammate and just act like another guy, and like I think that takes a lot. And I think people love their quarterback, like their teammates love their quarterback. They ride for their quarterback.
That's the most important position on the field. Like, it's easy to be like, I'm gonna pull this quarterback, I'm starting my team with him. But it's like, so do coaches only get credit if they win with, let's say, a whack team?
But we're not but the thing is, they're talking about the Patriot way. Like how they do things.
A great coach. It's kind of hard to differentiate which one was actually the most important. If they just,
I think Bill Belichick is a great play caller. He was a great defensive mind. But when you're talking about the Patriot way of how they do things, how they run things, I think there's no coincidence that 90% of these Patriot people that come from the Patriot way don't end up turning out to be anything. I mean, look at all these guys that come from the Patriot system. They turn out to do nothing. And now it's all kind of making sense.
Okay.
Now that
that point, it's definitely more clarifying the way you're saying.
Yeah, because they're discussing the Patriot way, like who is responsible for the Patriot way. And I think when you think of the Patriots, I think everybody will always think of Tom Brady as like a Patriot, like he's just and what he demanded from his team and everything. Bill Belichick, who was a very soft-spoken, quiet guy, he's a great defensive mind. He's the greatest coach ever. But when you're talking about the Patriots way and the culture, I think Tom Brady is that guy when you think of Patriot culture. And he brought it down to Tampa. He's elevated the play of so many players in Tampa to the point where now they're in the Super Bowl. And they had everybody picked them to lose against Green Bay.
Huh. So we'll see another season, another year. We'll see what Bill Belichick has up his sleeve.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm really curious. But speaking of Tom Brady, let's talk about this Super Bowl. Gabe?
Last episode I was on, I asked you guys, this is what I said. I'm like, if we see Tom Brady and Mahomes, and you guys, nah, Rodgers got it for sure, right? Yeah, I closed that off. I said, if we see...
They should have made it.
I mean, I wanted Rodgers to go, right? I already picked him. But I'm saying, if Mahomes beats Brady, is this a passing of the torch? Is this it right here? Is Mahomes going to be the next Tom Brady?
I think quite possibly. I mean, he has the biggest contract that he signed. I mean, and he's back-to-back in a Super Bowl again. I mean, there's only, how many people can say that they went back-to-back, their second year?
Yep.
Yeah.
And with MVP already.
Yeah. So, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is the future, man. Like some of the stuff he does on the field is just crazy. Like the no-look throws, the sidearm underneath. Some of the stuff he does is like it's like how it makes it look so easy. I'm like, it's like, oh, you look at him and you're like, oh, I can go out there and do that. But like some of this shit is impossible. Throwing it across the body, the way he moves around the pocket. So like he's the future. Future of the league. Like there's a couple veterans out there, but as far as young quarterbacks, like he's the guy. He's gonna be the face of the league for a while. As long as he can stay healthy, like there's nobody that they're talent wise that can match Patrick Mahomes. Like
so it's a passing of the torch. If Mahomes wins, it's a passing of the torch.
I say Tom Brady will physically get a torch, light it up on the field on the day on Super Bowl day. If the Chiefs win, he will pass a physical torch to Patrick Mahomes, and it'll be on camera. I watch. I bet you.
Bro, Brady's not done, man. Brady said he's playing to 46.
Guys,
he got 4 more years at this rate. He got 3 or 4 more seasons. He says he's going to play. I don't think Brady's done, man. He's coming back.
Another question for you guys: if Brady loses, does this tarnish his legacy?
Hell no.
No.
That's an easy question. Hell no.
I mean, everybody's picking him to lose this game anyways, and they're not tarnishing his. I don't think it does anything.
Have the same, not just how come we don't treat LeBron with that same mentality? Why would his final is, everything tarnish his legacy, but it's about his appearances. Now, if Brady loses another one, which we all know he's the greatest, yeah, that's fine. But no,
I think it's a different sport. Like what I was talking about earlier is you're talking about it. Basketball, you have 5 great teams. Like we're coming into the season, and think about it. They're playing. Like there's going to be like I said, there's only 5 good teams, maybe 4 that are real title contenders, and you're going to go there and look at all those years LeBron he dominated the East because half the league in the East was below 500. And I think you're talking about a different sport. You're talking about football where you're not guaranteed to make it the next year.
Listen,
you can have the most stacked team ever, but for the fact that Tom Brady year in and year out has been able to make the Super Bowl probably half the years that he's played is remarkable, like in the game of football. Like that, like Peyton Manning only won one with the Colts, and it was right at the end. And there's also like there is some luck involved. I mean, you take away some of those ridiculous, crazy Giants Super Bowls, the Super Bowls against the Giants, you're talking about 8 rings right there. Like in a sport, like I said, that is the hardest sport to win in. Like it is the hardest to win in. And the one thing that like I heard somebody bring this up with like Jordan too, and the problem with LeBron is that the thing is with Jordan, he never had to prove anything. He was crowned the greatest of all time. He just was. Like people didn't question it. They didn't do it. They were just like, we look at this guy. Yeah. We watched that Patriots Super Bowl against the Falcons. We saw that incredible comeback. There was no question. We just looked at it and like, this guy's the GOAT. Like it's just like I remember feeling that way. Like when I saw that game, because it was always like up in the air. I was like, oh, Peyton, Brady, Montana, Marino. But then we saw that Super Bowl, and like that just did it for everybody.
Just to get back to the root of the question, right? I get it. GOAT status, all that. All I'm saying is specifically the number of finals appearances, championship appearances, whatever you want to call it, and the win-loss record. My thing is like, so if Brady takes an L right now, it won't tarnish his legacy one little bit.
Not at all. Unless he does something crazy, like which I don't think is going to happen.
It's impossible. Unless he does the fact that he's 43 in the Super Bowl is incredible.
Yeah, anything he does on the field after from now on forward, like it's not going to tarnish his legacy. You know what I mean? You got to do something.
Being in the Super Bowl alone is an impressive feat. Him being from the fact that leaving a team he's been a part of for 20 years.
I could see that, and I agree with that. But it's like, damn, bro, people got to put some respect on LeBron's name as well. Then
it's a different sport, dude. It's a different sport.
People listen. People
finals appearance, right? All I'm saying is like whether the win-loss record, whatever it is, like you're doing what you got to do to get your team there. And whatever the outcome is, like that's cool. Like
like I said, it's a different sport. Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl, and we still look at him as the top 5 quarterbacks. If football's, it's a whole different game. It's your basketball. You are judged by your championships because the nature of the sport. It's only 5 people on a court, and you're talking about football where there's 11 players on both sides of the ball. Like it's and then you're talking about rotational guys. There's just so much to football, and the fact that he's been able to consistently go there year in and year out is incredible. I think people don't think about it that much because they hate Tom Brady and all this stuff. But when you really boil it down, Drew Brees only won 1. Like you look at all these greats, and none of them have 6 rings except for Terry Bradshaw, which was like a whole different era. But like you look at this now and look at all the greats, like. It's incredible. It's the greatest dynasty in sports history. Like
I think you gotta respect.
It's just definitely like probably will never happen again for a quarterback.
It'll probably never happen again in any sport. Like I can't imagine like
you gotta respect
years of dominance. Like I mean,
you gotta respect the longevity and him.
LeBron's at 4. You don't think he's getting 6?
Well, this season he might get another one, bro.
Like I said, we're talking about a different sport, though. We're talking about a different sport.
Like any sport. I'm going off of what you just said. 6 will probably not happen in any other sport. I'm just asking a question. LeBron's at 4.
No, I'm not saying 6. I'm not talking about titles. I'm talking about just dominance of 20 years of dominance. I'm not talking about rings. Football. If you want to talk about football rings versus basketball rings, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mesh. It doesn't compete.
You got to respect the longevity and him being healthy enough to even be available to not only his greatness, the way he performs, but him being healthy enough to be even able to have such a long career. Like football careers, quarterbacks, they don't last that long. Like, well, maybe
especially because it's a position of intelligence too. Yeah. I mean, it is such a.
I'll say quarterback starters don't last that last as long as Tom Brady, but that's because he's kind of the anomaly, right? Just like the same thing with LeBron. He's the anomaly. Like the amount of mileage that they have on their bodies is crazy. But that just speaks to their greatness. Like, and people want to debate, oh, is he great? Is he not great? People want to debate it now or whatever. But come 10 years, whatever, 10, 20 years from now, people are going to be loving on LeBron. Be like, damn, he was really good. Like, he fucking went to the playoff every fucking year. He always was in contention. He got this many, many rings. You got to appreciate that kind of longevity, like I said, because not every player gets that. You know what I mean? To start and be that good for that long. We just talked about Hank Aaron the other week. Like, to be that good for that long, like, is incredible. It's an incredible feat. And that's what puts you up, with, you know, in the Hall of Fame with the GOATs.
And that's why I think, like, the reason why I give Tom Brady so much praise, I just like it. And that's why I'm like, football just doesn't compare to any sports because, like, it's just so hard. It's so hard. Like, you can't win one championship in basketball and be looked at as the greatest or one of the greatest or the top 10 even. Like, you have to win multiple championships. Football, there's countless guys that have only won one or didn't win any and still are looked at as the greatest. It's a whole different sport. And for him to do that in such a team-oriented sport is just so ridiculously impressive. It's insane. It's
I can argue that. I agree, but I won't go there.
Yeah, we about to wrap this up because I gotta go. I go to the bathroom.
Oh, you got a date.
All right, so let's get our picks for the Super Bowl.
I'm picking Mahomes because until you beat the champion, they hold the crown. Mahomes, Chiefs.
Oh, you know, I've learned my lesson on
the Chiefs are going to be the Patriots. I'm telling you, they're going to be the Chiefs are the next Patriots.
It's tough, bro, because every time I bet against Brady, this man proves me wrong.
That's how I felt with Baker Mayfield.
Every single time. I was like, realistically, man, like, I know the Tom Brady, you know, they're the underdogs, the Bucks, but I feel like they're gonna figure out a way to win the game.
How are they the underdogs at home, yo? How are they the underdogs at home?
They're not going to shoot off the cannons. They're not allowed to do like any like the home game stuff. It's like kind of stupid. I wish it was like they made it like a home game for them. Right, hilarious.
Who do I think is gonna win? The Bucks. Who do I want to win? The Chiefs.
Hedge your bets. Hedge your bets. There you go.
Really, I'm opposite. I think the Chiefs are going to win. Like, I think they're the reason why they're the favorites. They're just unstoppable. Nobody's been able to stop them. They're unstoppable. But man, there's just something about Brady, dude.
You're just for the Super Bowl, and you got a guy like you said you've been praising all night, Brady, and you're gonna count against him after I heard you talk about it.
No, let me finish. What I'm saying is, like, every stat is telling you that the Chiefs are gonna win. Every stat.
No, I get what you're saying,
and like, but what I'm saying is, it's hard. Like I said, if I had to put money on it, I would probably put money on the Chiefs. But I have a hard time picking against the Bucks because of that number 12 on the other side. It is so hard to count out against Tom Brady. Man, like, I thought Aaron Rodgers had this game in the bag. I really did. But I do think if this game is won by the Bucks, it's not because of Brady. I think it's going to be because of the defense. I think the defense is going to be able to stop them. Because obviously Tom Brady's not playing like how he was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But if they win that game, it's going to be because of defense. But he always finds a way to show up. Like when it matters the most, like whether it's hitting Scotty Miller over the fucking top against Green Bay, or just like,
and that's like, he might not put up 50 points and 5.
But when it matters,
or when he needs to score or on that drive, he's gonna get you there. Whether it's, I don't know, like right before the half, getting you going, or last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, whichever one. And I've learned not to bet against this man.
And he always plays better in the playoffs. I mean, he always does when they're important games. And like, that's why I said, like, if this was regular season, I bet Chiefs all day.
Oh,
I really do. But like, this is the Super Bowl, and you have the greatest quarterback of all time. Nobody has more experience than this guy. It is just, how can you bet against them? I mean, everybody did.
Who do I think
greatest comeback in sports history?
I think who I want to win is the Chiefs. And we got to wrap this up because Gabe got a hot date tonight. He don't want to tell us, but that's where spray some cologne out.
COVID-19 date, you know what I mean?
Yo, wear your mask, bro.
So real quick, I want to add in. Me and Gabe, JoJo, you're welcome to join. You probably will. I'm not sure. We're going to do a live reaction to the Super Bowl. We're going to live stream it and everything. We're going to hop on at 6:45 Sunday, and we're going to hop on here. We're going to get all our live reactions. We're going to preview it, and then we're going to watch it all together, ask questions, whatever, get our full reactions. So
put up the box score.
We're going to put up the box score and everything. We're going to do a full live reaction of the Super Bowl.
It's going to be like me tweeting, but just talking. Maybe I'll tweet too. Yeah. I'll tweet too.
JoJo's probably going to be late if he decides to join.
Probably going to be late as always, but all right, here we go, guys. End of our episodes concludes it. Thanks for tuning in. Real Fans Podcast, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all that good stuff.
The bottom right there.
Some listens on Spotify out here. Really appreciate any support. Peace out, y'all. Till next time.
All right. See ya.